Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yoda Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radha Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radha Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Krishna Yadavaya Namaha. Gopal Govinda Ram Madhusudhana. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha. Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha. Gopal Govinda Ram Madhusudhana. Giridhari Gopina Madana Mohana. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Govinda Jai Jai, Gopala Jai Jai, Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jai Jai, Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jai Jai, Nitya Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivadacharya Ashtottara Satashi Srimad Divine Grace Abhay Charan Aravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Prem Se Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Shri Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Bhattadash Raghunath Shara Goswami Prabhu Ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Brajabhumi Vrindavan Dham Ki Maya Purnavadi Dham Ki Gangamai Yamunamai Bhakti Devi Tulasi Maharani Ki Harinam Sankirtan Yajna Ki Hare Krishna Mahamantra Ki Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadramai Ki Prahlad Nrsimhadev Ki Shri Shri Radha Madhava Ki Shri Shri Panchatattva Ki Shri Gaura Nitai Ki Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Nitai Guru Premanande. All glories assembled devotees, all glories assembled devotees, all glories assembled devotees, all glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. You get the next portion. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Daivim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Ruttama Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 29, Text 15. 29, Text 15, Chapter 29, Text 15 of Canto 3. Nishevitena nimitena swadharmena mahiyasa kriya yogena shashtena nati himsrena nityashaha. Please repeat. Nishevitena nimitena swadharmena mahiyasa kriya yogena shashtena nati himsrena nityashaha. Nishevitena nimitena swadharmena mahiyasha kriya yogena shastena nati himsrena nityasaha. Nishevitena nimitena swadharmena mahiyasa kriya yogena shastena nati himsrena nityasaha. Nishevitena, executed. Nimitena, without attachment to the result. Swadharmena, by one's prescribed duties. Mahiyasa, glorious. Kriya yogena, by devotional activities. Shastena, auspicious. Na, without. Atihimshrena, excessive violence. Nityashaha, regularly. Translation. A devotee must execute his prescribed duties, which are glorious, without material profit, without excessive violence. One should regularly perform one's devotional activities. Please repeat. A devotee must execute his prescribed duties, which are glorious, without material profit, without excessive violence. One should regularly perform one's devotional activities. Purport. One has to execute his prescribed duties according to his social position as a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya or Shudra. The prescribed duties of the four classes of men in human society are also described in Bhagavad Gita. The activities of Brahmanas are to control the senses and to become simple, clean, learned devotees. The Kshatriyas have the spirit for ruling. They are not afraid on the battlefield and they are charitable. The Vaishyas and the mercantile class of men trade in commodities, protect cows, and develop agricultural produce. The Shudras or labor class serve the higher classes because they themselves are not very intelligent. From every position as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, Swakarmana tam abhyarcha, one can serve the Supreme Lord by performing one's prescribed duty. It is not that only the Brahmanas can serve the Supreme Lord and not the Shudras. Anyone can serve the Supreme Lord by performing his prescribed duties under the direction of a spiritual master or representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. No one should think that his prescribed duties are inferior. A Brahmana can serve the Lord by using his intelligence, and a Kshatriya can serve the Supreme Lord by using his military arts. Just as Arjuna served Krishna. Arjuna was a warrior. He had no time to study Vedanta or other highly intellectual books. The damsels in Vrajadhama were girls born of the Vaishya class, and they engaged in protecting cows and producing agriculture. Krishna's foster father, Nanda Maharaj, and his associates were all Vaishyas. They were not at all educated, but they could serve Krishna by loving him and offering everything to him. Similarly, there are many instances in which Chandalas, or those lower than Shudras, have served Krishna. Also, the sage Vidura was considered a Shudra because his mother kidnapped, mother happened to be Shudra. There are no distinctions, for it is declared by the Lord in Bhagavad Gita that anyone engaged specifically in devotional service is elevated to the transcendental position without a doubt. Everyone's prescribed duty is glorious if it is performed in devotional service of the Lord without desire for profit. Such loving service must be performed without a reason, without impediment, and spontaneously. Krishna is lovable and one has to serve him in whatever capacity one can. That is pure devotional service. Another significant phrase in this verse is Nati him shrena, with minimum violence or sacrifice of life. Even if a devotee has to commit violence, it should not be done beyond what is necessary. Sometimes a question is put before us, you ask us not to eat meat, but you are eating vegetables. Do you think that is not violence? The answer is that eating vegetables is violence, and vegetarians are also committing violence against other living entities because vegetables also have life. Non devotees are killing cows, goats, and so many other animals for eating purposes. And a devotee who is vegetarian is also killing. But here, significantly, it is stated that every living entity has to live by killing another entity. That is the law of nature. Jivo jivasya jivanam. One living entity is the life of another living entity. But for a human being, that violence should be committed only as much as necessary. A human being is not to eat anything which is not offered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yajnasishta sinasanto muchyante. One becomes freed from all sinful reactions by eating foodstuffs which are offered to Yajna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A devotee therefore eats only prasada, or foodstuffs offered to the Supreme Lord. And Krishna says that when a devotee offers him foodstuffs from the vegetable kingdom with devotion, he eats that. A devotee is to offer to Krishna foodstuffs prepared from vegetables. If the Supreme Lord wanted foodstuffs prepared from animal food, the devotee could offer this, but he does not order to do that. We have to commit violence, that is natural law. We should not, however, commit violence extravagantly, but only as much as ordered by the Lord. Arjuna engaged in the art of killing. And although killing is, of course, violence, he killed the enemy simply on Krishna's order. In the same way, if we commit violence as it is necessary, by the order of the Lord, that is called Nati Himsa. We cannot avoid violence, for we are put into a conditional life in which we have to commit violence. But we should not commit more violence than necessary or than ordered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Om Tat Sat. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namani Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Adhara Shivasa Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki. We are reading about the instructions given by Kapila to his mother. Here he is saying how his devotee should be non-violent and he must execute his prescribed duties which are glorious without material profit. Must regularly perform devotional activities. So here Prabhupada is making a statement that even devotees are violent. You cannot be without violence. Normally, we say non-violent, ahimsa. Ahimsa hi parodharma. And here is a statement made that you cannot avoid making violence. Actually, Prabhupada gives a greater meaning for violence also in the Bhagavad Gita. Violence means stopping somebody else's spiritual life, Krishna consciousness, his progress spiritually. That is the highest type of violence. Violence on your spiritual individuality, violence by not allowing you to perform devotional service or standing in the way of your service to Krishna, violence on your body, violence on your mind, on your intellect. All these are different levels of violence. But the most violent thing is to stop you from serving the Supreme Lord. That Krishna does not tolerate. That violence he himself comes. Yada yada hi dharmasya klani bhavati bharata. When his devotees are obstructed from performing devotional service, when somebody stands in the way of dharma, then Krishna personally appears or he makes some arrangement. Violence in the material world on the physical level, on the mental level, on the intellectual level also is governed by so many laws. How people are now asking for free speech. Somebody should be allowed to criticize the government if the government has done something wrong or it has got some policy which is not correct. You cannot stop. Why? Because it's a democratic country. I want to speak something, you are doing this wrong, I want to say something, you should not stop me. Correct. It should not be stopped. We want to hear, oh, this is wrong, we did not notice it, we will correct it. This is democracy. So, if somebody stops you from doing that, then you will be accused. Whole world will get together and say, this is a very bad thing you have done. In a democratic nation, you cannot do this. So, big democracies like India are very concerned about other democracies criticizing you that you are not able to provide freedom, speech, everything to everybody else. Uh, this is a constant thing. And the more people become informed, earlier nobody can say anything because there is no information available. Information is controlled. But now you see information is available everywhere and information leaks. And there are people who particularly leak it and they're called whistleblowers. They blow the whistle. This is thing. They want to hide from you, but this, I saw this document. It's like this. And everybody, really? My gosh. Like that. So everybody comes to know everything at some time or the other. If not now, later. After you're dead also, you'll come to know this fellow is like this. One great Christian preacher, very famous. He was all the time world famous. Is I don't want to name him, but he was internationally very good evangelist speaker. People were following him like nothing. So many Christians. But just before, he was very old. He's 80 years old. But 2 years before he passed away, something rose complaint about him that he has got some illicit connections with ladies and massive ladies, and he takes massage from them and something and all. He has got a big business and etc etc etc. By the time they investigated and found the truth, he died. He died. And then afterwards he died. They investigated him for 1 year and found out so much information about him. But he's gone. His karma was good, I think, for this lifetime. So uh, you can find out many things about people, and information is available, and you can put it up. And because of free speech, people are controlled. So it's democracy. So that type of violence is not allowed. You can't suppress information. You can't use information, control people. Everybody should know all information, and accordingly, they should be able to do things. So, violence on mental level, on intellectual level, is also something that is very highly protested against. But Prabhupada is saying the greatest violence is to stop a person from his spiritual life. Uh, so, you will see that in many places, Krishna is appearing with weapons, and he is finishing that particular person. Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha, all of them were killed by Krishna because they stopped a devotee. Prahlad was stopped and he became so violent on Prahlad. So Krishna appeared. So violence is a thing that is unnecessarily perpetrated on somebody, then that is sin. But necessary violence to protect yourself. Somebody asked Prabhupada, what about mosquitoes? What about mosquitoes? Or we keep very irritating they can be, especially in Coimbatore, especially in our temple, especially in this Ekachakra hall. There are special living entities called muskies. We have especially have an agreement with them. When you sleep in the Bhagavatam class, prick them. As soon as they sleep, bite them. Ah, wake up. So I think the management here is doing something for that with all the mosquitoes. They feed them some special things. So Prabhupada once is known to have said that in the Bhagavatam you will see that they are all your brothers and sisters. There are no small mosquito. He wants to drink some blood. That is his food. And he must give some blood. But nobody is in that mood of Vasudeva Vipra. That it's okay because for you, take my blood. This is Mahaprasad. You eat it, you go back to God. Nobody is in that mood. We don't mind preaching to other people, human beings, but mosquitoes, no. How dare you bite me and disturb me? So the mosquito Leela of Prabhupada is, Prabhupada was told somewhere, I think in Bombay or somewhere else, mosquitoes, the devotees from abroad, they come and mosquitoes are very, this thing, get malaria now. So one devotee said, but Prabhupada, the mosquitoes don't bite you. Prabhupada looked and said, like this, very surprised, because you are a pure devotee, mosquitoes don't bite you. Then Prabhupada smiled and said, but in Mayapur, they make no distinction. He said, in Mayapur, there is no distinction because even the mosquitoes are pure devotees. And another place, Prabhupada said, what about the mosquitoes? He said, if they trouble you too much, you can finish them because they're aggressors. One of the six aggressors. This does not mean we go around killing all the mosquitoes, but if it is a little too difficult, then Prabhupada did mention. So how to understand that some amount of violence is necessary to live in the material world, but there should be very minimum. And who decides it is minimum? Scripture, the Acharya, who guides you. Don't make your own rules that killing the child in the womb, that violence is okay because it is necessary for me. Minimum violence I have to do, no? You told. To keep myself comfortable, minimum violence. I feel like eating that rabbit, I got to minimum violence. It's very interesting. I met the Pope John Paul II. He came to Cochin. I didn't even know I was meeting such a great person those days. I was so busy with management. They asked me to meet the Pope. Okay. I go, I didn't know. Later only I knew what a big man he is internationally. So I went there. I remember that they had a big table, such a massive church, very well decorated and you know nicely done. And so many people like me, some Swamiji from this mutt, from that place, some archbishops, so many people, all religious leaders waiting. We were screened, we were, you know, uh, checked and all sorts of things, and we were allowed inside. And all of them, some archbishop with a staff, and this. I was just a brahmachari devotee and one more devotee with me. We came very simply with some Hawaii chapel. We just walked and we did not know how great this is. I remember Radha Charan Prabhu. We both went and we were wondering, wow, this is a very big program. We've come here with only one Bhagavad Gita. We came, want to give to the Pope. That's all we know. We are very simple. So, Pope John Paul II, who has been given subsequently sainthood and all, I went to the Vatican and I saw, and I told the person there, I have met him personally. You have met him personally? How? I explained to him that I met him, so I came to see. Uh, Afterwards, there was a big table there, and everybody was asked to eat. And in the center of the table was a big pig with an apple in the mouth. And then there was a turkey. There was all sorts of funny things. And I wondered, these people are going to eat this. I can't believe it. They're going to eat this actually. They're going to eat it. They ate it. We ran away from there. There was no other place to go. And they were coming to us, please eat, please eat. Please leave me alone. Please leave us alone. No, you're not hungry. The Pope will take another 45 minutes to come. You leave us alone, Baba. That is enough. Several people came and said, please eat. What can I bring you? Some juice? Can I bring? No, we don't want anything. We just want to actually leave the place. And all these saffron cloth sannyasis now eating. Looking here and there. Eating like nothing. My gosh. That's just eating it out. And afterwards, they were belching and almost sleeping when the Pope came. They were not even awake properly when the Pope came. Maybe that is a real plan to keep them asleep. I don't know. The Pope came in a Pope mobile, writing his own, bulletproof. Somebody will shoot him. So he came and said he got out of it and he spoke about peace. You can see a picture of him like this, and I'm sitting here right under him. I've got a picture. Peace. And, I was, after reading Bhagavad Gita and all, is totally confused. Such an international personality all over the world. People respect you, and you fed everybody monkey and donkey and everything they ate. And now you're talking about peace. I thought, okay, let me hear anyway. I mean, you're a great person. Let me hear. He said peace, and he spoke about peace. Something uncomfortable. Something wrong. I mean, I did not know what it is. Those days I was not like well read in all this Christianity and what it is now. Neither am I now, but I understood by reading Prabhupada's book certain things. And afterwards, we came out, we gave him Bhagavad Gita, and he has commented about both of us. We were standing in the queue. We both were the people who were least, rigid, very casually with the book. We were talking and joking while standing in the queue, and the Pope is somewhere like that. The people are going to meet. So he is looking from there with his interpreter, Polish interpreter. He's a Polish man. So he has asked, who are those two young people? He has asked in between while other people are giving gifts, because the gifts are all like, boat, Kerala boat with people rowing. This is what they are giving. Welcome to India boat. Another fellow is giving, the whole coconut. They have taken out the skin and carved a monkey in that. He's giving this to the Pope. Monkey. I was really surprised. These are all big Matadipatis. This is what they are giving as gift to a religious head who has come all the way. So many things happened to me that day. This world is something definitely screwed up. There's something really wrong with this world. Or I must be totally wrong. They're eating a pig, they're doing this, and he comes in a Pope mobile, he speaks about peace. And the worst thing was when we came out, we bought the newspaper. We thought our picture will be there, we can cut it and send it to ISKCON World Review. Very innocent. We saw the newspaper, his menu was published. Before he came to speak peace, what he had eaten. He ate the tongue of a cow and he ate venison meat. That is a deer, a pregnant deer. Just before it delivers, it is cut open and the fetus is taken out and cooked. And he came and spoke peace. My gosh. After reading that, I was totally disappointed. You see, violence on other living entities. A pregnant deer has to be killed for feeding the Pope. Many people don't speak all these things in public. What do you mean? This is violence. And it's being confirmed here also by the bell. It's violence of a highest order. So where to draw the line for violence? It's not that it is mentioned here that minimum violence you do, and therefore for the Pope, this is minimum violence. He has to eat the tongue of a cow. For him, one cow has to be killed. Take out the tongue because it has to be very kapaka. So they came to Cochin and did all these things. And he's speaking about peace. So Maya is so deadly that it makes you understand peace in a completely different way, in a totally illusioned way. What is violence? What is really violence? You cannot define it. You can't define it. Feminists are thinking that I have the right to kill the child in my womb. It is my child. The other day we discussed that. Toxic individuality. I will do what I want. Who are you to tell me? I don't like to take it to the other extreme. So at no point of time, and for everything, they have a wonderful explanation. And that is what we are looking for. Give me a good explanation and I'll commit any type of sin. Give me a good rationale and I'm ready to do anything. It's all about how you convince your mind. In English, it's called euphemism. Making something very sinful and violent very simple and common. Hitler killed all the Jews, millions of Jews, in chambers, torture chambers, gas chambers, stripped them all naked, women, children. And he had a nice rationalization for that. The Jews should be eliminated. They are a bad race. Human beings will not be progressive and good if Jews are there. Kill them. He took a decision. And for him, that is not violence. Extreme. And then people eat meat. Even the Pope eats meat like this. And so everybody thinks he's eating. I have to definitely eat. But if you be violent like that, you will result in violent activities inside your head and outside. So a devotee, when it is mentioned here, a minimum violence, it's on a completely different defined thing. Yajñasishta santo muchyante sarvakilbishai. That is the line that is drawn. Don't eat even fruits and vegetables without offering. You'll become violent. So vegetarian is not enough. You're still violent. If you're vegetarian, you're still violent. You're vegan, still violent. As per the definition of the Shastra. You are not ahimsa. You are a himsi. You are committing violence. So when does it become non-violent? Only when you offer it to Krishna for his pleasure. Yajñasishta sina santo muchyante sarvakil bishai bunchate te tvam agam papam ye pachanti atma karana. Otherwise you're doing very big violence. Very big violence. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he propagated the language of love to the most violent people. This is extreme. The other day we discussed how Jagai and Madai, who were very violent, were captured by love of the Lord. So violent people can, in the association of a saintly person, completely change. They don't know they are doing violence. And these intellectual people, they will give wonderful explanations for everything and continue the violence under the grip of material nature. Abortion, they will say, no, that is just removing unwanted tissue. Why are you taking it so seriously? It's just something in the abdomen, inside the womb, grows tissue. Just like you do chemotherapy, you remove the tissue, cancerous tissue. So in the body, so many things grow. You just remove some unwanted tissue. Why are you making such a big fuss about? Very good explanation you gave here. There's a nice way of looking at it. Very good. I thank you very much. This person, very, very intelligent explanation he gave. You like it. Why? Because you're inclined to do it. And somebody is given an intellectual adjustment to you, a guilt adjustment to you. And you can talk about it to everybody. And you can convince yourself and others. You jump into that violence. This is Maya, making you commit violence. So a devotee, he is very intelligent. How? Anything that is not Krishna conscious, I should not do that. I will not eat food even if it is vegetarian, if it is not offered. Why? It's violence. Bunjate te tvamagam papam. Right? At the same time, a devotee will never stand in the way of somebody going back to Krishna. That is violence. That violence is very huge. It turns even to Vaishnava aparad. That's why Vaishnava aparad is the highest type of violence. Exactly where it matters, you're going and fiddling around with it. Between the relationship of Krishna and the devotee. You're putting your nose inside there and you're tapping him down. You're in for a very big danger. Right? So in one sense, you can see Vaishnava Aparadha as the highest type of violence. Right? So even sense enjoyment and sinful life you can escape, but Vaishnava Aparadha you will not escape. So these are all very important factors. Prabhupada is that's why saying minimum violence. And you should know how to manage that minimum violence. What is that definition of minimum violence? Normally, a devotee is not violent at all in his head. But when you are attacked, when you are stopped from doing your service, when you something, then you have to protest. And it is very common. Very common in this world. Sometimes people of your own kind will stop you. That is history. In history, you will see the Jews themselves. One among the Jews is Jesus Christ. They themselves went against Jesus and crucified him. In India, you'll see the Brahmins are the highest in society. They're supposed to lead everybody. They became the persons who were against their own religion. They destroyed their own religion, actually, by applying the wrong things in the wrong place. The way material nature works is like that. During Lord Chaitanya's time, the Brahmanas went and complained to the Chandkasi. This man is the most dangerous person. Who? Lord Chaitanya. Most dangerous person in our whole Hindu community. Why? He's chanting the holy name of the Lord. Look at his followers. They are closing the door and chanting. It is Chaturmasya. Chaturmasya time, Vishnu is sleeping. You should never call his name. What will happen to our entire whole community? You are thinking of taking all of them and throwing them in the Ganges. They went and complained like that. They are doing this kirtan now. Very bad. It's against the Shastra. Should never chant the name of the Lord loudly. These Brahmanas are speaking totally ashastric things. And they were being heard by the rulers, who are Muslims. Whom they are speaking to? Muslims. The Muslims are very happy to do something to some Hindu. And when a Hindu himself is coming and complaining, do something against this Hindu, why I will not do? So happy. You gave me a reason to do. This is how whole Vedic culture was destroyed. The people who are most violent are from your own community. The whole Vedic community. Shringi, he went and cursed Parikshit Maharaj. Emperor of the whole world should die within 7 days. Total wrong application. So sometimes in this material world, or a lot of times in this material world, the people who harm you, the people who do the greatest violence to you, are the people who are very dearest to you. Are very dearest to you. Your parents themselves will stop you from practicing Krishna consciousness. Unbeknownst to them, they'll do everything possible. Your dear ones will do that. So the world is so designed that invariably, somehow or the other, the strangest of things can happen to you. Most unexpected things can happen to you, especially when you take up Krishna consciousness. When you take up Krishna consciousness, Maya arranges violence against you. So, Prabhupada said, Krishna consciousness means declaring war on the material energy. You better be careful. Fighting has started. War has been declared. You will have to be ready with your guard, on guard. Otherwise, you'll also be one of those. So in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's time, we see that also. In previous history also, we see that. The famous instance of Gopinath Pattanayaka being killed, ready, death sentence given to him. And he was raised on the changa with the swords. And he's lowered into the forge little by little, little by little, little by little. The swords go through him. Every day, 3 centimeters down. Slowly for 1 month, they'll do that. Leave him like that, hanging. Who did that? King Prataparudra's son is doing that to Gopinath Pattanayaka. It was such an amazing thing happening right there. Lord Chaitanya is there in Puri. And King Prataparudra's son, Prince, he was not so capable. He was not so great person. But, the king had more inclination towards Gopinath Pattanayaka, who was one of the collectors for him. Why? Because he was devotee of Lord Chaitanya. His brothers all devotees. So he was very inclined. And he also swiped a little money Like Prabhupada said, when you trade with ghee, ghee will get stuck in your hand. You can't down on ghee. Cha cha cha. Wherever enga todichalume, the ghee will still be there. Some ghee will always stick. Prabhupada said. If you are a trader in ghee, some ghee will always stick in your hand. That is yours. You can lick it. Very amazing analogy, Prabhupada gave. He said, if you deal with money, some money will get stuck in your hands. That is yours. In business, they will always, my share, I have to take it. All businessmen do that. How can I be without? Whatever it is, we have to take some. So he took quite some. He took quite some. And he thought, it's okay, why she is doing business, everything we understood. But this fellow, he took some loan. And he took some commissions like this. And the prince caught him and said, give back that money. He said, I'll give you back. Please give me some time, I'll give you back. Because business, something I'll make, I'll take it from here and give it here, take it from here. And give it. Business. He was very confident of doing that. So this fellow, he said that I'll give you my horses. Since you're pressing me too much, I'll give you my horses. The horses I got are very good. King will definitely want these horses for his stable. You take the horses. He said, okay, bring your horses, let me see. I'll value them. The prince had a problem of he had a nervous tick, so every time his head will go like this, like this. He will start looking like this, and then adjust himself. Some nervous problem. He was looking a little funny only. So he brought the horses and he purposely, because my father likes you very much. I am his own son. I'm not so capable. I'm not so famous on social media. So only you are famous. You are like this, like this. I want to catch you now. So he devalued the horses. Then he said, my horses are much more than what you are valuing. You ask your king father, he will know. Because he is likes to ride these horses and all that. He knows better what is a good horse, what is this. You don't know. He said, no, I am the one in charge. This is the value. He got so angry, Gopinath Patnaika. While he was looking at him, the prince did like this with his head. He told, at least my horse is not like this. Which one not doing with the head like this. They're all paka. Means the horse is better than you. He told the prince got really hot. He got really hot and said, imprison this fellow. Put him on the changa. Became a personal fight. Put him on the changa. You want to see my power? You're criticizing my physical deformity. You rascal, I'll show you. It became a fight. So put him on the changa. So the soldiers caught him and imprisoned him. Put him on the changa. Give back the money, otherwise you will die. Because the king has already told him, whatever is necessary you do, get back the money, revenue. That's general statement he has given. So he said, I got the permission of the king to do whatever is necessary. So he put him on the changa. So Gopinath Patanaika, he's a devotee. He said, so what? Whatever Krishna wants, you want me to die? I die. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram. Completely absorbed in chanting, remembering Lord Chaitanya's lotus feet, standing on the changa, held by chains and everything, and being lowered, being slowly. It's just a matter of few days more, the sword will start entering his body. They'll throw water on you, they'll do all sorts of things and beat you up and tell. Otherwise, they'll lower like this little by little like that. One type of torture. So the news went everywhere that Gopinath Patnaika is put on the changa. A devotee put on the changa. How can it be? How can Prataprudra king do this? So they all went to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and they told him, complaint. You know Gopinath Patnaik has been put on the changa? He said, what do I know about all this? Immediately his reaction was totally different, which means he knows everything. They did not expect that type of reaction at all from Lord Chaitanya. Violence on a devotee, physical violence, and you are not saying anything. Lord Chaitanya said, what can I do? I am a sannyasi. What do you want me to do? If you tell him, he will lower the changa and he'll do this. That is not my business. Sannyasi is not supposed to go see the king and ask him for any favor. King can come here if he wants. I don't go to him. Why are you asking me to do this? Lord Chaitanya got angry. Why are you asking me to do this? Even if I go and ask him, he has to pay so many thousands of lakhs of gold coins to him. I'll go and ask him, give me 300,000 gold coins so that I can release Gopinath Patnaika. He will give me some small fruit and some rice and send me. I'm a sannyasi. What do I need? How can I go and ask him for so much things? Why you need, he will ask me. You're not from ISKCON movement. Why did you need so much? I got project. Please, I can't even say that. I'm a sannyasi. So I'm not going to go in this. Then said it's all because of, no, but Gopinath Patnaika, don't you? He's Bhavananda Rai's son, Ramananda Rai's brother. You're very dear devotee, Ramananda Rai's brother. But Lord Chaitanya remained very cool. He said, Gopinath Patnaika has taken money of the government and gone and seen dancing girls. He had done something wrong. Taking the money of the government is worse than taking the money of a Brahmana. He must return it. That is his job. And don't ask me to go and do it. I'm not going to do it. Why did he do that? Why did he take the government's money? Very powerful lesson Lord Chaitanya gave to all of them. And you're coming and disturbing a sannyasi, asking me to go get involved in all this. It's not the business of a sannyasi. So they completely disturbed, all of them. They told Advaita Acharya, you're going to. They told Sarvadama Goswami, what? Why is he keeping quiet? His devotees on the chanka are going to die. Everybody. And they went again and again to him. He told, go to Lord Jagannath and pray to him. He can do something. It is his kingdom. What are you asking me? I am just a sannyasi. He told like that. So they very reluctantly went to, because Lord Chaitanya is telling, go to the Jagannath. They prayed to Jagannath. And Lord Chaitanya's, the king's one very good assistant, Harichandji, he came to know about it. I think the king does not know about it. What his son is doing is another nutcase, his son. Maybe the king does not know. Some communication gap. So he got inspired and he went and told Prataprudra, do you know that Gopinath Patnaik has been put on the changa? Huh? What? Gopinath Patnaik, your son has put him on the changa. I did not ask him to do that. It seems you asked him to collect all the money. But I did not ask him to put somebody like Gopinath Patnaik on the changa. Take it down immediately. What Lord Chaitanya will think of me? My gosh, I put his devotee on the changa. Immediately take him down from the changa and bring him here. By that time, that prince has already arrested the father and all the other brothers also. Everybody he brought, wife, children, dad, everybody arrested. In front of you, they will also be suffering. Where is the money? Tell. He was chanting Hare Krishna. He chanted Hare Krishna. When he asked for money, he said, thought of Lord Chaitanya's lotus feet and chanted Hare Krishna. And all of these sons and father and everybody together looking at him, they said, we can't do anything. This is a foolish prince. What can we teach him anything? They are completely, all of them did Kirtan. They just did Harinam Sankirtan. Totally lost in remembering Lord Chaitanya. So all of a sudden he was brought down from the Changa and taken to Lord Chaitanya. Prataprudra, King Prataprudra. King Prataprudra welcomed him and said, I'm very, very sorry. I never knew my son did all these things. From today onwards, I'm giving you promotion. Double salary. And all the money you owe, I paid. It's cancelled from your account. Please tell this to Lord Chaitanya. You must please tell this to Lord Chaitanya. Otherwise, he will misunderstand me. I am his devotee. So I never knew this fellow would do this. So the son became so thrilled. Oh my gosh, I got double promotion. I got double salary. Plus my loan and all struck off. And and then he put a big this thing on his special Jagannath Prasadam, big chadar and all around him, and said, "Please go and tell Lord Chaitanya everything is all right." Then Gopinath Patnaikar realized all this is Lord Chaitanya's work only. From the beginning to end, all he has said, he has only planned it like this to show something. So he went to Lord Chaitanya and he paid obeisances, and Lord Chaitanya looking at him, you know, as though nothing has happened. And he asked him very seriously, "What were you doing while on the Changa?" All the devotees were around. "While you were on the Changa, what did you do?" He said, "I completely chanted the holy name." "What were you thinking?" "I was simply thinking of your lotus feet." Then he turned and said, "What was your father doing and your brothers doing?" They all said, "We were just chanting the holy name and thinking of your lotus feet." Lord Chaitanya smiled. The result was that not only all the things were removed, there's no violence committed on his devotee. Not even one hair was touched. He was fully protected. Not only that, his loan was, liquidated. His job got some better promotion and everything. Simply because he totally depended on the Lord. So Krishna is telling, I will protect my devotee. This is a beautiful instance in Lord Chaitanya's time, where no violence can actually come to a devotee willfully under the surveillance of the Lord. Definitely not. So devotees, they take risk for the Lord. What to speak of Gopinath Patnaika? Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada took such a big risk. Life, risking your life. Arjuna risked so many things. Faced violence. Did a violent service for Krishna. He was protected throughout. Physical violence, mental violence, intellectual violence, and the violence of wanting to merge into the Supreme Lord and destroy your whole individuality. All that type of violence you're protected from. If you remain completely dependent on Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you may not even know what are all you're being protected from. You may not even know all these subtle things you're being protected from. So, this is the mercy of the Lord. Now that you have heard the bucket sound, the Mahaprasadam is coming. I was waiting for that. Now it is time to close. Any questions? You can also smell it in spite of the mask. Must be a very strong smell. Any question or comment? Yeah.
In case if like parents try to stop their son's devotional service, how will Krishna see it on them?
Well, parents are parents. They are your parents only. Unless they violently stop your devotional service, which mostly they don't do. Rarely you will see somebody has become so attached and everything. That is something you have to go through, especially in India. People are very closely attached. Parents, children. Children also have attachment for the parents. So it is not something that can be legislated very easily. You have to take the social situation, cultural situation into consideration, and spend time, convince, make them understand. Mostly, if you spend time, make them understand, they understand, they also become devotees. That's the most. But sometimes the devotees don't have patience. They read it, the Prabhupada's books and immediately apply it. My parents are demons. What do you mean? What do you mean? You're demons. Then you also won't be one. Because from demon, demon only will come. What logic is this? My parents are demons. Same logic applies to you also. right? It's like the father calling the son donkey. The son is looking at the father. Kalida means what? Neither appa. You're a bigger kalida, isn't it? So sometimes don't use these extreme words. You read Prabhupada's books and read apply it in the wrong place. They are your parents. Definitely. They've given you this body, they've given you love, affection, put together. You must have those sentiments in place. It's not that you're to destroy it. But you must be assertive in practicing Krishna consciousness without losing that. That is what you should learn. I am an individual. I like to be a Krishna devotee. Don't interfere with that. But that does not spoil my relationship with you. I'm growing. I'm not a chota bacha between your sari hanging around. I'm also growing. I'm also read this thing. So you must recognize me as an individual. That they must learn. It's not that they should be excessively affectionate. You belong to me. You can never go to Krishna. But Krishna has said, I belong to him. The child started arguing. This is a big fight. How dare you say that? But Krishna has said, Mamaivam sajiva loki, jivabhut sanatana. They go and slap the parents with shlokas from Bhagavad Gita. And the parents look at him, he's telling, 9 months I bore him. He's telling he's not does not belong to me. All on two different planes, the fight is going on. They don't match at all. So you have to be a little intelligent. And you have to not fight with Bhagavad Gita shlokas and slap your parents with the black and blue. Poor people, they don't understand it now. Slowly, with patience, make them understand. See, don't be worried. I'm not doing something we're going to run away and all that. You please understand what I am doing, why I am doing. And if you stay with them nicely, and this, they'll be very happy to hear you. It's a great opportunity to preach. Rarely the parents are really very tough and totally materialistic. Then you have to take a different decision. If you have Hiranyakashipu for the father, then you'll have to do something like Prahalad. You have to call for Nrsimhadev to come. Sometimes it happens, rarely. Okay? Do in a balanced way.
I was hearing from another devotee who was traveling on a flight, and he mentioned about guilt adjustment. So he was traveling on a flight and he was saying that on the next aisle, um, the Dalai Lama was sitting, and he ordered meat. So this devotee asked him, the leader, Buddhist leader, why are you eating meat? Buddha provides. Simple. Buddha provides. Yes. And he was looking into that. Try to rationalize.
Yeah. Buddha provides also the reaction to eating that meat.
No, I mean,
That also Buddha only provides.
international leader of Buddhism on his.
Yeah, I went. They all eat meat. I went and saw the Buddhist this thing, the Buddhist place of worship and all that. The early morning in Thailand, I was going for a walk in Bangkok. These Buddhist brahmachari type of boys, they come stand in front. They give meat donation, like a bhiksham. They give meat, all sorts of things they carry and they go back. They eat. This is Kali Yuga. In Sri Lanka also, I saw the Buddhist temples. I was telling them you should build a Buddhist temple here and tell exactly what Buddha taught you should teach. The real Buddha. A lot of Buddhist temples. Yeah, true. Any other question or comment? Yeah.
So, question from Sundar Muraridas. Relating this class and last Sunday class, Shivanand Sena and Nityanand Prabhu are perfect examples you gave last Sunday how to accept the mercy from perfect Vaishnava. Violence is prevalent everywhere, even in spiritual organizations, mentally or physically. When disciple feels this, how does he need to accept this? Like Satyanu and see hidden hand of Krishna in that instead of complaining, since disciple is not also not perfect.
Well, you mixed a lot of things in that Sundara Murari. But what I understand is you're taking a parallel of Shivananda Sena being kicked by Nityananda Prabhu is one violence. That was such a sweet violence that Shivananda Sena welcomed. He liked it, just like the violence that Bhishma liked inflicting on Krishna on the battlefield. And Krishna also liked Bhishma's arrows coming and plucking off flesh from his chest because it was affectionate arrows thrown. So that is a different level of so-called violence understanding. But your point, I think, is you use the word the disciple feels the feeling. Sometimes you may feel you have been violated, but it may not be. If the father gives a small tap to the son and says, "Rascal, don't do that," that's not violence. That is accepted by the child. In later years, he remembers and said, "My thanks to my father." At that point, he doesn't understand. But he knows that he has to obey his father and he's a little angry and hurt. But he does obey with reluctance. But it's good for him. So these things are not considered violence. They are corrective measures which are employed by the parent, by the guru, by the leader to correct. Since you have said that Subhuti Rai actually was a very powerful, Vaishya, Kshatriya type of a person. He was like a zamindar and he employed a Muslim person, Muslim boy, who was like, Anath type of a fellow. And he trained him up nicely with affection and love. And sometimes, due to some punishment, he had him whipped. And that fellow carried that mark. But he became the king, emperor. And his wife, very beautiful, was massaging him with the oil. And she saw, "What is this on the back of your thing?" He told, "It is Subhuti Rai. He whipped me. For my own good only. I learned a lot under him." She got very angry. "Who is this Subhuti Rai? He's a big zamindar. Now you're in power. Get him. Kill him." He said, "No, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? That is a nice thing he did to me. I grew up under his care. I don't take that seriously at all. But look at your back. So what? I grew based on that punishment he gave me." He welcomed it. But she said, "No, you should not leave him alone." She started harassing him. She said, "At least make him a Muslim." "How can I do that? He's a Hindu. But you're ruling now. You should do something to him. I cannot bear to see this mark." So she was really vengeful. Want to violate the other person. Kill him or make him a Muslim. The best torture for him is to make him a Muslim. So Subhuti Rai was called by the king and said, "My wife is really bugging me. You should become a Muslim. Otherwise I have to kill you, it seems." Then he was given, sprinkled something and became Muslim, it seems, according to them. So it's mentioned greater violence was done not by this. The Brahmins did a greater violence on Subhuti Rai, went and said, "Now this has happened to me, what shall I do?" He went and told the Brahmins. The Brahmin said, finished. Finito. Now what to do? You drink boiling hot ghee. You may get purified. Which means you'll die. They're actually telling him, go die. You cannot be converted back to being a Brahmana. You cannot be. So he was very confused. What one violence I did long back, and this fellow converted me Muslim. Now this Brahmins, my own community people are telling, go drink hot ghee. I'll definitely die. These guys are all something off. I just whipped that fellow, and it did good to him. Now, so he went to Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya said, "Just chant Hare Krishna. Don't listen to all that. Just chant Hare Krishna and nothing can happen." Just very casually dismissed him and said, "Just chant the holy name." So Dheera became very peaceful, speaking to Lord Chaitanya. So Sometimes we don't have to overreact to some things which are done out of affection and something and take it in the wrong direction. So be careful that how we accept. I feel that the mind and that feeling may be wrong, but the Muslim king knew that he felt correctly. Although it is whipping mark, although he whipped me, it's perfectly all right. He took it correctly, but the wife could not take it correctly, and the Brahmins could never take it correctly. Totally wrong there. But the Muslim king was right. Hare, jane do. He did a lot of good things to me. I'm not even thinking about it. He was correct actually. He was the only sane person in that whole group. He and Subudhira had a very good relationship, although they were Muslim and Hindu. But in between came all other fanatics. The Hindu fanatics came and screwed up everything. So you should know how to take it. If there is a small knock given to you by your father, you can say, throughout my life, I will never forget you. You did this to me. What it has done for, how you benefited from it. You should see all that. Let's not take it as violence. Okay? I hope that clarifies. Over. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Jai Mahaprasadam ki. Please go. Om Tat Sat.